MRI. Today, I have a special guest, a special client of mine, Miss Ella Pitkin, the CEO of American Best Credit. And she and I are going to have this conversation that would be so educational for you that you can really learn a little bit more about your own money leaks. Money leaks means if you have a container for money, somehow it is gushing out in different places with different dimensions and diameter. So you make money, but then somehow you lose it in the process. Welcome, Ella.
Hello, Vivian. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, thank you. And I know that the listeners and a lot of our viewers today are going to learn more about how to take advantage of their money, their credit in this particular economy. So let's begin with you. Is that okay that you share your experience with them working with me?
Certainly.
That was back in 2018 when you were in an emergency mode and suddenly you needed some help when it came to money. So go ahead and
That is
share with
right. Absolutely. Yes. In 2018, when I first met you, was a terrible time for me in both professional as well as personal lives. I had gotten married the year prior, and my husband had just walked out on me. When I got married, we had decided to retire, so I was closing my business down and moving into retirement mode with him. And then he up and left. So I had no business, I had no income. I he cleaned out the bank account, took everything that wasn't nailed down at the time. And yeah,
me.
I was in serious emergency mode. I needed help and I needed it fast. I needed it now. And
Yep.
you came into my life at the exact right time when I needed it. Um, we did that 90-day success seminar
Mhm.
in the very beginning, and it has dramatically changed my life. I mean, every part of me is different now, and I have you to thank for that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I know you're one of the biggest success stories of my program also because you went from broke, like zero. You
Yep,
couldn't even buy groceries, you said, from
yep,
your, I mean, for your family.
that's correct.
And then I asked you to set a goal, right? And
Yes.
you set a 30, 60, and 90-day goal. And you weren't sure, right? Obviously, you're stressed out, you're overwhelmed, you're not, you were like the ice cream dropped on the floor moment. And during
Yeah.
that time, you didn't have any money to invest, really, because you couldn't
No,
even buy basic
no.
needs, basic food, right? So you had a goal. And what was your goal in 90 days?
Well, I decided to put you to the test, Vivian, and I thought I was going to make that goal so high as there was no possible way to attain it. So I
Right?
set my 90-day goal at 120,000. And
Yep.
up until that point, the most that I'd ever earned in any single month was maybe 10, 15,000. So in
Mm-hmm.
3 months, I mean, under normal circumstances, everything being great,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be attainable. But you made it happen. I mean, we had our 30-day little jar, and we had a 60-day jar, and then the 90-day goal. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how to explain it, but the 30-day one, and I asked you too, I'm like, where am I supposed to find this money from that you want me to put into these jars? And I don't only have one, I've got two. And the third one, it's like, I have no money, and you're telling me to do this, and I don't know where to
Yep.
pull it out of to put it in. But somehow or the other, every time I walked past the jar, I mean, a penny went in, a dollar went in, whatever it was. But in 30 days, I
Mm-hmm.
blew out two of my tires, and I needed to get a new set of tires. There was the exact amount in
Yep.
my jar that I needed for that. It
Yep.
was absolutely mind blowing. I mean, I still don't know how it happened. The same thing in the 60-day jar. When I opened that one, same thing, 60 days on the dot. I had written the date on the top of the jar, like you instructed me to. And on that day, when I went in, it had the amount of money that I needed for my next little project, which was
Right.
advertising for the business.
Right.
And then on my 90-day goal, I actually settled an insurance case for
Mm-hmm.
120,000. It was the exact
Wow.
amount that was on my list of what I was going to have in 90 days, and it came exactly on that time. Mind
Right.
blowing.
Yes, because the spiritual laws are at work when you apply it properly, right? I mean, by
Yes.
the way, spiritual laws are always working. However, the faith and trust part, I think, in humankind has somehow, I don't know where it went, but we talk about it like lip service, but we never trust, right? We ask the universe, but we never trust because we had to work hard. And I know, Ella, you're very hardworking. You've been trained to be a hard
Yep.
worker. And these are some of the questions you asked me in the beginning. In fact, by the way, this is written. Ella was the inspiration of my book, Money Blocks, the 8 steps to get to 6 figures in 90 days or less in any economy. So you said, these are your words, I'm working so hard, yet I can't get ahead. That's what you told me the first time.
True story. True
And
story.
then you go, why does money escape me?
Yep.
And then you go, I make money, but it seems like my relationships suck. And then
Yep.
you go, how do I make money without losing it once I get it? And you
Yep.
want to
Exactly.
know, how can you make more money consistently? So share with the audience, how did you remember that fear you had when you didn't have money? And I
Yes.
remember when you came back and when you had the 120,000, you were still worried that you were going to lose the money. So how
You,
come that fear was there before you didn't have anything and after you had something?
well, before it was just the lack. I couldn't pay my bills. And then once
Yeah.
I got the money, I was terrified that something was going to happen to it and was going to take it away from me. As a matter of fact, I kept the check that the insurance company sent me in a safe in my house for like 3 months before I ever took it into the bank because I was afraid.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Finally, I put it into the bank in August and nothing bad happened. I still have it. It's great.
Oh, that is funny. And we uncovered in one of your private sessions that you had this. Was interesting because I know everybody learns about how to clear money blocks or how to deal with money blocks, and we're going to talk about the usual practical things that you have to have these money leaks because somehow they're hidden. But yours was really hidden because I've been working with you, and
Mhm,
somehow this last session,
mhm.
you had this slavery energy that showed up, after all the pandemic, the lockdown, the riots, and then, an article on Facebook on George Washington and, the slave who was, I guess, he bore some children from this lady in the
Right.
past, right? So it's very, very interesting that you had the same energy in a past life. And can you share with the audience, describe to them how does it feel to be a slave? Because some of these people are business owners and they want to improve their lifestyle, right? They want
Yes.
to have a better lifestyle. They want to have more money. They'd like to have a better life altogether, more aligned and at peace and in harmony with their soul purpose. But somehow that money thing for you, you wanted it, but then when you have it, you still have these worries. So share with them this slavery energy that you've experienced.
Well, that was very interesting because once we discovered that in the session that you mentioned, Vivian,
Mhm.
it brought a lot of things to light and it explained a lot of things of how I was feeling and why I was feeling that way. So, for
Mhm.
example, with me, I often thought of myself as being curled up in a wooden box out in the rain, just stacked up in a crate with a bunch of other animals. That's how I felt. Um, and when
Mhm.
you're a slave, when you have nothing, you can't own anything, you can't have anything of your own, you can't make decisions on your own. You are relying on other people to do things for you. And even when you need something or want something, you have to ask permission first. So my whole
Mhm.
life has been spent asking permission and basically giving my power away because that was the mentality that was so drilled into my being that
Yep.
I didn't know it until we had that session, and
Right.
when I came out of the box, if you will, It's dramatically changed my life and my outlook on life, on my relationships.
Yeah.
Now I have boundaries that I wasn't able to have before because a slave has no boundaries. Whenever somebody wants something, you do it. And that was my
Yeah.
life. I mean, whenever somebody called, whether it was family or friends or whatever, I was required to do. I was required to give. That was just that driving
Like
force
a
inside
slave.
of me.
Yes, yes. And
And so,
it's interesting because it repeated itself almost in this lifetime, but in a
yes,
different way. It's almost like you're a slave to your family. You're a
yes,
slave to your employees. When you're supposed to
yes,
be the CEO of the company, making decisions, and pretty much the employees and the contractors, if you're working together as a team, you work together towards the vision of the company, right? It's not really like who's higher, who's lower, but it's really working together. But
right.
think about if a slave got $5 million suddenly,
Mhm,
maybe out of an inheritance, who knows, like somebody died, and maybe you inherited that money. If you live in a cage, is it
mhm.
safe? Like, does it
Nope,
have walls? It's not safe, right?
no,
And if
definitely
you have
not.
a guard that's guarding your crate,
Mhm,
what would happen? Like, if the guard wants to just have a little bit of the money, if it's in paper, and
mhm.
5 million is a lot. So if you have stacks of $100 bills in your own cave or in your own cage, can someone just get that?
They could, but I mean, I wasn't even able to take it. I mean, I would give it away as quickly as
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 soon
I
as
put
you
it
get it.
aboard. Yes,
Right. Because it's a different mentality to be a slave and to be a queen. I mean, if you
yes,
think of the discrepancy, right? So the queen waits for the people to give her something, and
right.
she asks for something, she gets it. A slave, you think, even if you work so hard, are you ever going to be able to sit by the queen to tell
Never,
others what to do, right? Never, never. So
never.
different energy. So energy is everything. I have realized and learned that not just by knowing it, but also seeing it in real life. And so these hidden blocks that causes money leaks. So these are some of them. Okay. And see if you can identify with them. Because I think some people think, oh, I think when I get more money, I won't have any money problems. Is that correct?
No. You
No.
still have the same problems. They follow you because you have the same mindset. Unless you
Right.
change here, it will
Right.
not change out in your environment. It can't.
Okay. So if you've been a people pleaser and you have that tendency, so when you have more money, like you did, right? From
Yeah.
nothing to 120K, do you actually remove that immediately? Does it go away and disappear? Or are there traces of that people pleasing tendencies still?
There's still traces of it, but the difference is awareness. So
Awareness.
when I first started working with you, you told me that once you awaken, you can't
Yeah.
go back to sleep. But
No.
when somebody is asleep or doesn't know what's going on, that it didn't sink in. It didn't mean anything to me. I was like, okay, whatever. And now that it's sinking in, now I am able to make different choices. So now, rather than just going down the path that I've always gone down because that's the way I've always done it, now I
Yep.
stop and then going, oh wait, there's a better way. I'm going to do it this way. So
Yes.
that's the difference. That's the
Yeah.
biggest difference. It's not a miracle that your life changes. It's you that are changing your life. So a lot of
Correct.
people, I think, have a misconception that they think that there's some magic fairy dust that you sprinkle maybe or something. I don't know. But it's not like that because that's what I was expecting, to be honest. I mean, I didn't
Right.
know how you were going to do it, but you were about to do something. But you taught
Right.
me how to take better care of myself, how to remove these flaws, how to spot them. And
Yes.
that
Yeah.
that's you can give a man a fish and he can eat, or you can teach him how to fish and he can feed himself. That's what you've
Right.
done for me.
Oh, I'm so glad that you're applying it now. So I'm going to share with the audience some of these hidden money leaks that sabotage you. So check the box to see if you have one of them. Okay, so one was people pleasing, right? Number two is like a servitude or like a servant attitude. Like your mentality is, I have to give, 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 and serve, 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 and I'll just think about myself later. Three is a healer syndrome, like you want to heal the world, but then that doesn't include you.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, if we multitask, how many women in this group multitask?
All of us,
Probably.
I bet.
You can post your comments on Facebook because you can ask us questions as we're doing this, right? Perfectionism. How many of you business owners go, well, I want to launch my landing page or my website, but it's not quite right, and I haven't talked to enough people, and it's not quite perfect yet. So let me just massage this a little bit first. In the meantime, you don't have money coming in
Yep.
because you're just waiting. Worry and fear. So we know Ella had that, and it still comes up, but the difference now is she spots them and she can clear them
Yep.
easier and find a different direction to focus on, or to actually calm down and go, why am I afraid? Right? So she now has to.
Exactly.
Anger. How many of you have anger, but you displace it? And then you start to blame and judge and criticize. Not mostly others, but mostly yourself. That is a hidden money leak. Like, who wants to work with anyone that likes to blame, criticize, and judge themselves? Most likely, you will do the same thing to your clients. So they feel that. You don't even have to say it. It's very, very energetic, right?
Yep.
Now, envy is another one. Oh, my neighbor or that business owner actually has more than me, and I haven't really worked on my business, so maybe I shouldn't do this anymore because she has more. I wish I have more of hers. Right? Envy is another hidden money leak. Now, wasting time due to lack of priorities, it's same as procrastination, right?
Mm-hmm.
I noticed this. We business owners, we love to say, I would like to work with who I want to work with and when I want to work. And, I want to be in control of my schedule and my activities. But the same dream you have starts to get tiring because you don't delegate. Remember, Ella, you had a team,
Yep.
but you go to the office and still do the work of your teammates. And then
Yep.
then you say they don't do their job. Well, how are they going to do their job if you're doing their job or part of their job? What's
True
giving
story.
you what's giving you that fear? Like, why do you have to do parts of their job when you had a team?
It's funny because it felt like I didn't trust them. They didn't do it fast enough. They didn't do it good enough. If I just did it myself, I wouldn't have to check it later. So, you have all kinds of little mind games that you play with yourself
Right?
because everybody feels that the only way that anything could possibly happen is if I do it because I am me. I mean, I
Yeah.
know everything. I can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
the truth of the matter is that if you delegate and tell somebody exactly what you want and how you want it, you can check on it and
Hmm.
they'll get it done. It's just that you
Yes.
got to put a little bit of trust and faith out there that you're not the only one. And then
And
don't be overly critical because that was my biggest thing is like, I'd sit there like a hawk and I'm like, okay, are you done yet? Are you done yet? Have you done this? Well, you didn't dot that I yet. I'm like, well, I'm not finished writing the word. Well,
oh my
you
God.
can't do that.
Our control issue, right? And our
Yeah.
micromanagement issue. So, and I know that in the beginning, even so, Amy is here with us today, and she's gonna post on comments what are the questions for us, because in the beginning, right, I had to go through like 3 different interviews for VAs to just really get who I want to work with. And I know about energy, you guys, but I still have to do the physical action of picking up the phone, doing an interview, making sure they're clear about what I would like for them to do in order to support me in the business, right? And when Amy started working with me, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that I was doing too many things. And then it started working. So I'm very grateful for Amy, for giving us those nurturing Vivian's vibes right every day, and really allowing the support and the care for the community that I'm building, because I'm good at the clearing obstacles. I'm really good at that. So, and courses. So I said, I just want to do that. Can somebody else do the social media and other things that I really don't know how to do? So it's very humbling, right? To
Hmm.
know what you can and cannot do and what you will and will not do
And
because
for me,
you
it was scary
business.
to put somebody else in charge of something that I felt was an integral part of my business. So for
Mhm.
somebody else to be in charge of my business, even if it was just a small bit, was very uncomfortable in the beginning.
It is. Even working with me in the beginning was uncomfortable for you. And I
Very.
said, Ella, I have this support for you and this support. And you're like, not yet,
Nope.
not yet. I remember that.
Yep.
So
Very
um,
true.
let's see if we have any questions before we go on to the practical side of money so then we can really help these audience today on how to help patch those money leaks, right? Okay, so I'm going to put Amy here. Hold on a second. My mouse is not cooperating right now. It's fine. Amy, are you able to give yourself? Oh, somehow my mouse died. Okay, hold on a second. All right, I'm gonna put Amy. Okay, I think I could do it this way.
There we
All
go.
right, so Amy, go ahead and see what our audience, if they want to ask us anything about these hidden money leaks that sabotage.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Lauren asks, how do we turn on the awareness button when we are in any of these money blocks?
how do we turn on the awareness button when I missed that word?
When we are in any of these money blocks.
Okay. Well, the first thing is I think when you're extremely busy at work sometimes and you don't even know it's running right in the background, that's the pesky side of a money block is it's running in the background and it's like a tape loop, like a thought loop that keeps on running, like an electric fan that's just on and humming
Mhm.
and you don't know that it's there. Usually silence, right? Centering and silence and grounding usually does that. So I do suggest if you have lunch breaks or just breaks, like little breaks, to just find a way to stand up tall and just find your center in the midline and just connect to God, divine source, and earth, or hug a tree. That's the fastest way of just turning off the mind because that's the hardest part, right? Ella, is the turning off this mind. It's like a monkey mind. It talks to us all the
Absolutely.
time, even before we sleep,
All
especially
the
if you have
time.
a to-do list, right?
Continuously.
So Ella,
Exactly.
share with them your hike. I think that really helped you.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I never did any type of self-care
Mhm.
in the
Share
past.
with
As
what
a
that
matter of
meant.
fact, I didn't even know what self-care was or why it is important. And
Mhm.
again, it comes from that slave mentality. A slave can't take care of themselves because everything is given to them and they only have the time that they are given. So
Yeah.
self-care is more, like you said, clearing the mind, centering, focusing, grounding, connecting to spirit, uh, made all the difference in the world. And now I won't give up that time. If I'm
Yeah.
busy, I'll give up something else before I give up on that. That has to be the way we start the day. So for me, that entails taking my dogs out on a nature hike. We usually do about 3 miles, and I try to do my deep breathing on my way there. And then I meditate when I get there, about a half an hour, just aligning chakras and straightening out any thoughts that I have going on in my day. And then I continue my hike and do some more deep breathing on the way back. And at that point, I am ready to start my day. I am calm and quiet and centered, and my mind is clear, which is critical for any business owner.
Mhm. Exactly. The other suggestion I have for Lauren is to journal in the morning. Like when you meditate in the morning, or you just sit by the side of your bed and just have a journal by your nightstand, and then start asking perhaps God, universe, of how can I show up better in my life today, or because sometimes those nigglies inside and the feeling of anxiety inside or the mind chatter is because we're also expecting something big or unstable. And that happens because we all have intuition. And so one way to do it is to take off that thought, whatever that is, or that feeling, by journaling. And I journal normally with my left hand if I'm very emotional, because my right brain supplies my left side of my body. So whatever feeling that is, I just describe it on my journal, and then I breathe and then center. So that's another way of doing that. Yeah. Okay. And another question, Amy? It seems like they have a lot of questions today.
Yeah, let's see. Amy is asking, how do you get the doubt and worry and really trust the universe? And do you have any practical tips for her?
Release doubt and worry.
Mhm.
So, it's interesting because this audience may or may not be familiar with the psychic plane, but there are certain representations of doubt and worry in the psychic plane, but it's basically something that we create ourselves, or we've allowed other people to create it for us. It could be our parents, our exposure to our environment and our society. And we know right now, with all these things happening in the money department, right? So I think Ella can give us more insight on that. The fear and the worry and the doubt, if you are able to fortify your energetic boundaries better, like, create a golden bubble, but thicken it a little bit, like 2 feet, 3 feet thick, especially during these times, because you almost, the empathic and the highly sensitive people feel everybody's energy, everybody's worry, fear, and anxiety. Sometimes it's not even ours. So I just return that energy back to their higher self, so they can learn to process that or find help. Because if you keep on processing it for them, that's a sign of like codependency, right? We are trying to help because we have such a giving heart, like a healer syndrome. We take on their baggage, but then we give all our life force energy and everything that's good to them. So I suggest really beginning the meditation and centering and grounding in the beginning of the day, so that you can actually you can be sensitive and empathic to others, because some people really do need your help at that time, and the universe called you to help that person, right? And have an exchange, whatever form that is, whether it's money or time or resources, whatever it is that you need to exchange. But the universe is abundant, right? So Ella, share with us your insight about what's going on in the money economy right now, and how can you help these people? Because I know you own American Best Credit, right?
Yes, thank
So,
you. What American Best Credit focuses to do is challenge Americans to be credit worthy. So in this type of an environment which we're in right now, with the pandemic and everything going on, there will be some people that will cash in, and there's other peoples that are not going to cash in. Some people will go under. And this happens when we're not clear on what we're doing with our money or with our credit. So what we do is help you get yourself into position so you can take advantage of the crash that's going to come. So when house prices come down, which they inevitably have to, since nobody is making any mortgage payments or paying rent, so that the person owning the house can't make his mortgage payment. So somewhere along the line, there's going to be a redistribution of assets, of the wealth that is in the world today. That's what's happening right now. So in order to take advantage, you must have your credit in check. And so when the opportunities come around, you can just strike while the iron is hot, rather than go around and go, oh, now what do I do? What happened here? Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. Those people that aren't working right now, at some point, everybody needs to go back. We need to have, that continuous flow. So start thinking about that so you can take advantage of it, because it won't be long. And the window of opportunity is usually very small.
Ella, is there a good credit score? Like, what's the range that is good for people?
At 720 and above, you walk on water. You can do whatever you want. Many of the clients that come to me are in the 500s right now. And there's always going to be a curve. Everybody's credit is unique, obviously, and yours is different from mine. But in general, if you're down in the 500s, you're going to have some negative items that are on your credit report. Many people think that they can't be removed, that they're stuck there. They don't know what to do or how to do it. And that's where we come in. We have our certified credit counselors that will go through your credit report with you and analyze, what your options are. We have different types of programs depending on if you need it now or a little bit later, or maybe you need funding for your business. Some people just need credit cards, just a little extra cash to be able to make it through. And we have all of those programs available and ready to go for people to help them.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. And that's true. A lot of people get frozen when it comes to this. I,
Yes. And
I
many
was
people
in
and
the
many
past.
people are afraid of money,
Yes,
just as I am. So a lot of people won't go out and take a loan, or won't take a couple of credit cards out or cash out because
right.
they're afraid. They don't know what they're doing. So at some point you've got to get your eggs in the same basket. You need to take that step forward. You can't always
Yeah,
be fearful and hold back. And that's one of the blocks that you said, fear, right? Fear
right.
holds you back. And fear is something that hasn't even happened yet. You're worrying about something that may or may not happen, and 90% of the time it doesn't happen. So you refuse to take action because of it. And that's what we are trying to help people take action now. Do it now. Put yourself in the right position.
Right. Preparation is so much better than panicking or
Yes.
emerging.
Exactly, exactly.
Really?
And you're so right, because the reason why people have emergencies and why they panic is because they aren't prepared.
Yep.
So, if you focus and clear your midnight, like you always say, and you know what you're doing, so much easier.
Mhm. Yes,
So much
that's
better.
why you hire coaches and mentors who are good at what they do, so that it can direct you to the right path. With the honestly, the resistance usually comes from the client. I have seen it time and time again. It's their
Agree.
own self getting in the way because they have their own thinking, their own feeling, and their own action and behavior that comes from the negative thought, which
Yep.
it comes from a program, right? It's not even like you said, you don't think the way you do now because you didn't look at it that way. You just had a different
Exactly.
way of looking at it. Yes. Okay. Cool. Amy, any more questions we have?
Yeah, Lisa is asking if you have a recording of a meditation that
Mhm.
your audience can listen to ground and make money or increase their income, make more money.
Yes, definitely. I know in the Breakthrough Your Financial Ceiling. So I have two sets of recordings, right? The Be a Money Magnet allows you to clear a lot of the hidden blocks that's you're not even aware. It could be your birth issue, like some people were aborted, or maybe their parents didn't want them to get pregnant, but they accidentally got pregnant, right? Or you had your mom tried to abort you. There's so many like birth issues that tie into money flow. So in the Be a Money Magnet audio series, that's like you can clear your money blocks by healing your birth issues, your self sabotage, your family blocks, your recurring debt, right? Because sometimes we just have those. We don't know why, but it seems to be like we make money and then we lose it all. That's a huge money leak, right? We make money, we lose it all. There's only two things that humans do, by the way. Either they want to get away from the pain, or they want to move towards pleasure. So you want to pay attention to your way of dealing with things. Are you avoiding pain, or are you moving towards pleasure? So Be a Money Magnet is good for people that are able to, no, they couldn't clear those invisible blocks. And so they need their soul kind of examined and cleared to help them. But Breakthrough Your Financial Ceiling goes more into the 5D realm, right? Like, why do you balance your energies? Why do we have to feng shui our body? Why is it that certain things we can solve, like diseases that are huge, like cancer, and those that are autoimmune? Like, why is it that there are different ways aside from cutting you up, right? Frying you, chemo and radiation. There are other ways aside from that. Instead of getting sick to get love, we have other ways to actually just be more directed to our sole purpose and be in personal integrity with that, to help you be more like a money magnet and break through whatever ceiling you think you can have. Because most people grew up in a household that if your parents are poor or maybe they didn't have any money, it's possible that their mentality transferred to you because that's what you heard and observed and saw. And they fight about money, right? And there are some of you that grew up in a family that you were well provided for, but then you're like either curious, you want to know what it's like to be on the other side of the fence, like, oh, well, what happens to these poor people? And that's why their heart goes out to those people. They're like so connected with the poor because they never experienced the poverty and they felt so grateful for what they have. They wanted to share. And there are some people that don't like the rich people's behavior, right? So then they go completely against money because of that. So see, everybody has a different psychology, so we deal with it differently. So I hope that helps her. And grounding is super important. Yes. So Amy, any other questions we have?
Yeah, Lauren's asking, what's your overall guidance on simplifying the number of credit cards, which ones to use versus to open?
Oh, okay. That's the Ella question.
Okay. Can you repeat it, please, one more time, the question? Make sure I get it right.
Yeah. What's your overall guidance on simplifying the number of credit cards? So which ones to use, which ones to keep open, which ones to close out?
Okay, got it. All right. In order to have the best possible credit, you must have at least 6 open current trade lines. A current trade line is a credit card. It's a mortgage. It's a car payment. Those are all considered trade lines. But you get the most points for credit cards. So we like to see 3 credit cards and 3 charge cards. A charge card is store specific. So for example, Macy's, Walmart, Target, they have their own cards. That's a charge card. You can only use it there. You can't take a Walmart card and use it to buy groceries at Ralph's or something. So we want to have 3 and 3. So that's the best goal to have. As far as which ones to close, whichever ones have the smallest balance and are the youngest cards. So for example, if you have 5 cards and you've opened them up 10 years ago, but you have one that's a $300 one, maybe, and you only opened it up 2 years ago. So that card you could close and it will not have as much of an impact on you as if you close a $10,000 card that you've had for 10 years. So closing credit in any circumstances will always hurt you. But if you go to AmericanBestCredit.com and fill out the Contact Us form, you can ask me specific information and I can review your credit there. So that way I can give you more guidance and walk you through your specific report. And that's a service that I offer for Vivian's clients at no charge. So you just need to have a credit report. And you're welcome. And then you just sign up for the Smart Credit so that I can take a look at it. And then I will put together an action plan detailed specifically for you.
Nice, nice. Thank you, Ella. I'm sure they will take advantage of that because it's true. You know, I went to some class that they were offering when my money flow wasn't really good because it's funny. I told you I had the experience of being a millionaire on paper because of all the properties we had. And then I realized that I connected money to something negative and I said, oh, well, it's not important. But, you know, I realized people that say that like, oh, money is not important. Okay, do you need to eat? Do you need to have a roof over your head? So when they say that, like just saying it that way, they have a money story behind that, unfortunately, right? They had a difficult story or a negative picture that's associated with that. Because when I learned that, right, I went to some some class that I went to. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm studying geometry, right? Because we weren't really taught, we weren't taught that. These are basic things that our school system should have, honestly. I hate to say the should part, but that's part of living successfully after college. Oh my God. Or after school. How come they don't bring this up in regular schools, right?
I agree. I don't understand why we teach woodworking and housekeeping and things like that, but nobody teaches the children how to pay their
Manage.
bills, how to manage their
Yes.
bank account. What's going to make your scores go up, what will make it go down. I mean, most
Yes.
people think that it's so confusing, but it's really not. I mean, it's actually very, very simple. Once we have your credit set up exactly right, we go through the coaching skills with our clients to make sure that they can maintain it. Because again, it goes back to I can feed somebody or I can teach them how to do it. And that's what
Yes.
makes us different. I want our clients to know and be able to continue this good credit in the future and not be held hostage to a company such as ours that you have to keep
Yeah.
coming back to for more and more work. We
Right.
want to show you how to do it.
So, Ella, I remember you said how your company is so different than others. So, what if the person has had this bad credit report for years? Or when you remove a negative report, does it come back? Or how does that work?
No, it doesn't. The way that we do it, we use the law, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and the Fair Debt Collection Practices. We use the laws specifically that were created to protect consumers from frivolous reporting, from people that are taking advantage of them. So that's what we do. We go through it and we use the law to clean off anything that shouldn't be there. And many people don't know what should and shouldn't be there, so they allow things to remain on there that ends up being a red flag for an underwriter. And then when they go to get a loan, they're turned down and they don't know why. They say, I've got this, I've got that. Why? Why did this not go through? Why am I not getting this? Those are the questions that we answer for you. And like I said, we have different programs to go to different people's needs, from business to personal to getting it done quick to taking our time.
Okay. So, is this also helpful for people that just came out of college? Let's say they just got out of college and they're just starting to use credit cards, right? Is there like an educational system that you guys have for that one, or is their credit just building up, so that's not for them? Like, who are the people that are ideal for you?
Our ideal clients are probably in their mid to late 30s. They've had some credit experience already. They've had some hardships. They've learned the hard way of what not to do by having fallen into that trap and done it first, and now they're stuck with it on their report. For college kids, I mean, those are my training ground, and I love to have young people. And whenever I can, I always tell them, here we go. This is what you need to do to maintain. Come over here. Let me show you. Let me get this set up for you. And then you just have to cruise on. Because a lot of times, if your credit is set up early on in life, you'll be able to buy a house much sooner than you would if you don't have credit. I mean, I don't remember about you, but when I was growing up, I mean, you were supposed to wait. I mean, nobody ever talked about the credit portion. I mean, we just waited for something to happen in the future that just indicated that now we were ready. And you don't know what that thing was. I mean, at some point it was going to fall from the sky, or I don't know. But, there's planning. I have a 16-year-old, and she's planning to buy her first home. So we're setting up her credit now in order that when she turns 18, she's going to have a credit history, and she'll be able to make a purchase if she wants to, because we set that up. And we can do that for anybody.
That's awesome. No, that's really a big help. You're right, because I remember I was from the Philippines, so I came here. We don't have credit cards in the Philippines, or we didn't have it at that time, or maybe I wasn't aware. So everything was cash. So for us, well, for me then, if you don't have money, you just be quiet. Don't go anywhere. Don't buy anything.
Exactly.
Then I go, but I need a car to drive to go to work, right? As a physical therapist, I was in Texas initially. And then I'm like, oh, that's kind of a lot, right? Like $25,000 or something. And I thought, well, I don't have that money. Am I going to wait, right, until all my salaries are gathered and then I can buy a car? And then they go, no, you can actually like ask for a cosigner, which my boss, Paul Jones was his name, co-signed me. and trusted me, to drive this car, and it was good. It was a good feeling of being able to have your own vehicle back and forth. It gives you that sense of independence. And of course, I
Exactly.
owned diligently because I was making money, and it's all good. So yeah, so that's how I established it. But I was 22 at that time.
Right.
I was
And everybody has to start somewhere.
right, right. Okay, Amy. Anybody else has a question for us? This
Yeah,
is
Lisa.
topic.
Lisa is asking, in regards to COVID forgiveness, is this going to hurt anyone's credit?
They're
Mm.
saying that it's not supposed to hurt your credit,
Mhm.
but what they're saying and what the actual truth of the matter is, it's two separate issues, unfortunately. So what we have found is that if you're not making your payments right now due to COVID, well, it's going to help you now, but later on, if you're trying to get a loan, you haven't made your payments, it's going to be more difficult. So there will be repercussions, definitely.
Wow.
I've already seen them, unfortunately. Yeah.
I,
So it
I
will
don't think
definitely affect you.
I don't think the government likes you to owe them. So if you got a letter, I'm sure you may want to set aside some money paying that back, so that your credit is not dinged for that. Yeah. Any other?
Exactly. I mean, if you can make it without taking the loans, I highly
Yep.
recommend it because
Yep.
eventually everything has to be paid back. And for those that aren't making the payments right now, I mean, if you're not working, you're not paying rent right now. At some point, you have to catch up, and then you're going to have no job and owe $100,000 from the past 6 months, which will make it a lot more difficult than, like I said, or what Vivian is trying to say. Let's plan. Let's put
Let's
together an
plan.
action
Yeah.
plan. Let's
Yes.
see how we can do this.
Cool. All right, Amy. Anybody else?
That's it for right now. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That was really very informative. Thank you,
Mhm.
Ella. That
You're so
was
welcome.
super
Thank you
good.
for having me.
I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who still have credit questions. On the spiritual side, I'm going to give you my side of the spiritual part, right? I have noticed this, that when people avoid taxes or any kind of form of payment also to the government, because remember, we have the higher power, right? God. And then there are some institutions, and there's like hierarchies. Most people or business owner that try to avoid taxes somehow energetically slash their income by half immediately. So that's kind of like the spiritual repercussion of that. And then the other thing that I share with my clients is, you may want to really be cash worthy, right? I know credit is the system in America rather than credit worthy. So even if Ella said 3 cards, you have to have good credit.
Mhm.
Energetically, having a big credit limit also means that you can have the potential to owe a lot of money, right? So rather than working on having more credit limit, I usually teach my clients how to be cash worthy, like have enough cash in you,
Mhm.
whatever it is, right? In the bank, underneath your mattress, that you can produce that money more than what you'll ever need. Because need, and that's why planning, preparation, and consistency is so critical to any business owner. When you are desperate, right? Like you need something. Do you remember that time, Ella? Like that's our ice cream on the floor moment, right?
Right?
So when we are in need, it kind of breeds greed. Like you sound very desperate to your clients when you're going out there and marketing yourself, because you can't even fulfill your basic needs if you look at that, right?
Right?
Versus if you have already everything. So again, it's inside, right? It's not about the amount of money too. It's so interesting because I came from the Philippines, right? We were so content with just rice and fish, like fried fish,
Mhm.
or rice and like cabbages or some bok choy. That's our lunch, right? Like, and it's not a lot either. Like Americans eat like 3 times as much as us. Like we eat like little tiny portion. And it's so interesting that we were happy with whatever we have. We didn't, because we didn't know any better either, right? We didn't know the possibility of more when I was there. I just didn't. So then when we get
Yeah.
exposed to more, you're like, oh, I can have that. And that's where the laws of the universe come in, because whoever asks for it usually get it, because you're working towards it. You're working for more. Now, does it mean you just use it for yourself? No. we have such little needs as humans, right? Food, clothing, shelter. That's it. No.
Right.
But then beyond that, and to experience life as a whole with more choices, more money gives us that freedom to make that choice. And then, of course, a lot of the rich people I know, they actually help other people. So if you want to be part of that new rich, right, you can decide what kind of wealthy person you can be inside out. It's not outside in, because the money itself is not going to make you happy because it's energy. You just have more energy to move and dispose of. But it's inside of you, and then it comes out, like how you share that with the world. And it's a gifting and receiving, right? You were gifted by the universe something, you gift it to others, they take it. There's always a flow. It never stops. There's always a flow. So
Exactly. And that's a good point that you just made, that if you get a lot of credit, you also have the capacity for a lot of debt. What I always recommend to my clients is, when you have that credit card, you have one credit card that pays your phone bill, one credit card that pays your gas bill, one credit card that pays your electric bill, and they're tied to your bank account. So you don't take those cards with you. They stay at home. I personally am an impulse shopper. So if I see something shiny, I'm going to buy it because I want to. And I've got a credit card in my pocket, and it's got enough room for whatever it is that I want. That's the reason why
I remember when we went to Sedona, I'm thinking, how many rocks did you buy? How many books did you buy? He had like a stack of books, and I'm like, is that going to fit in the van?
No kidding. It was crazy. True story. I am like that. So that's the reason why on normal days, I don't carry them.
Right.
And
Yep.
that way, your credit gets used. Right, but I mean, you have to use your credit cards, otherwise they'll reduce the limits or they'll close them entirely. So this way, they get used every single month, but it's a small, negligible amount, and
Right.
it's tied to my bank account, so that bill is always going to be paid. I don't have to touch it. I don't have to think about it. It's automatic. Right. So my credit keeps getting better and better every month because I pay my bills on time, because it's impossible for me to make it screwed up.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you very much. That was really, really helpful today. So I hope everyone benefited from that. If you would like to learn a little bit more about what I do for a living, you can apply to work with me on overwhelm911.com. That's what Ella did. She came in when she was overwhelmed, and now she's in a better place. So that's awesome. And I want to thank you all for being part of this show today. And I hope this really helped you in many ways, both practical, emotional, mindset, and spiritual. And hope you can pay attention and be aware of all those money leaks. Because when you're having them, if you're multitasking, procrastinating, trying to control the issue, right? Like everything, and judging, blaming, criticizing, delete that and drop it. And then shift yourself to, okay, what can I take action today to improve my credit score, right? Or to improve my money flow, or to be a leader of my life in the financial world, right? Like your own financial resilience. So
exactly.
I hope to see you all. And for those of you attending uplevel2020.com, it's going to be this Friday. I'm excited, and we have a lot of things prepared for you business owners. So if you haven't checked that website, it is uplevel2020.com, and we will be there this Friday at 8:30 virtual, and some of you live because you're in Orange County. So thank you, Ella. Thank you, Amy, for facilitating.
You're welcome. Thank you. And I will be there, and I can't wait. Thank you so much,
Viv. All right. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.